Okay, live once again. We'll see who's here and who's not. So, got one person on. Just pop your name in the live chat as before, and then I'll explain what we're doing for the second half of this. Again, nothing too massively onerous, but obviously an explanation will be needed. I should pop that up. Yeah, I'll put it on Teams. That might be an easy way of getting everyone in. So, pop a little message everyone, so everyone knows where I am. There we go. The second person, you stick your name in the live chat. That's probably the best way of doing stuff. Down to one person, interesting. And always up to maybe his connections problems or something, I'm guessing. So put your name in the live chat as and when you get in. I think there's something wrong with connection because the people aren't getting through on this. I wonder, is there a big connection issue? Because people seem to be kind of coming in, dropping out. So if there's a connection issue, can you just drop it in the live chat so I know what's going on? If there's obviously a connection issue, then we can't run the lesson. That's fair enough, but need to know what's going on. Got 3 people now. Down to 2. I mean, it seems quite weird. Yeah, I definitely think there's something going down. So I keep seeing numbers going up from 0 to 3. So if there's an issue with streaming, what I'll do is I'll hang around here for a bit, and then if it doesn't fix itself, I'll disappear. Because it literally does look like it's going back and forth. It's a bit worrying, so obviously to be able to rely on this, it's not good. I don't know what's going on. So I'll do is I'll hang around here for a little longer, see if anyone shows up. I don't know what the situation is. It doesn't seem to be working for whatever reason. And that's fair enough. So pop your name in the live chat if you can get through whatever the system. There is something wrong here, I think, because it's literally just bouncing back and forth. Yeah, definitely can see there's problems getting through. It just keeps stuttering on my side. I'm going to hang around here just for a few minutes, see if that does clear itself up. If it doesn't, then we move, I think. But if you are watching, there are somehow 2 or 3 people that are watching, sometimes one. Drop a message in the chat. I'm just waiting on as it stands. So if the stream is working, put a comment in the chat. So if you can get through on this, I mean, I've seen people just kind of like log in and log out, so I don't know what the hell's going on there. Drop a comment in the chat, so at least I know you're in and I can do your register for you. Don't know what the hell's going on here. Don't stress too much. So, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I'm not quite sure what's going on at all. We'll wait a few more minutes and see if anything happens. Yeah, and awake. Very good. Impressive. I don't know what was up, because a lot of people are kind of like come in, had a look, and then sort of kind of come out again. So I think there is some issue with connection, and maybe some issue. People just thought this was 10:45, not 10:30, which is fair enough. There's no big hassle here. Let's see if anyone else shows up, to be fair. If not, it's probably a connection thing, I'm guessing. So I'll just hold fire on that. Okay, that's nice. I actually do think there's some kind of issue here, because it literally went up to about 3, 4, and then, you know, skip back down to 0. So if it is that we can't run this, we can't run this. It is what it is. I've sent pictures out of what you can look at anyway, so we'll see. Give it enough 3, 4 minutes. Yeah, there's got Isabella. Cool. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. It's good to see people are in. We'll see who else shows up and what happens in the next minute or two. We've got 3 people still, 4 people now. Cool. Again, if you are in this, pop your name in the chat when we've got enough people. Ikram, you're also here. That is a good thing. I'll wait for a few more. I mean, 4 people. I can do it for people. I mean, if that's what it is, people can watch it afterwards. It's not massively. I mean, there's a few things needed explained on that. What I want you to do. So let's see. Give it a minute or 2 longer, and then we'll get started. In fact, I was saying, it's kind of wasting your time if I do that. So let's just get started now. If you look at your Microsoft Teams, so Microsoft Teams, go to Microsoft Teams, and you go to the actual Core Maths Teams, not the chats. So if I've got a chat with you, it's not that. You'll see a bunch of pictures. one that's a contents page, two that are headed distributions, and one called standard deviation, right? The contents is what you need to know in terms of math or psychology, right? So section 1 is like calculations. I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence by kind of saying we need to go through any of that potentially. I might do like 10 minutes on solving an equation in standard form, but not today, all right? So section 1 is like your basic grade 5 GCSE maths. That's not worth your time, really. Section 2 we sort of had a look at in the first lesson. There's nothing much interesting there, apart from distributions. But then you look at section 3 and it gets very, very hardcore difficult very, very quickly. Do you need to know all of these things? Perhaps not. But you need to know some of them for your syllabus. And that's where I think I'll focus until the end of like lessons on these contexts, right? So you got things like sign test, Wilcoxon, Spearman's, Pearson's, t-test, Mann-Whitney, chi-square. There is a lot of quite hardcore mathematics that doesn't even turn up in A-level, all right? And as I said, you may not know all of them, but it might be useful to know some of them, all right? And it'd be interesting if people know their syllabus for psychology quite well. They can tell me which ones I should focus on. That would be massively helpful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly run through with you distributions, and then distributions and standard deviations are stuff you're going to do for the rest of today, all right? So if you, okay. If you look at your pictures on the Microsoft Teams, I bought the A-level Maths for Psychology book, all right? And this is what it's got as its contents page. And I know you don't need to know all of it, but you might need to know some of it. Because obviously each syllabus has slightly different things. So let me know which one. Hey, Shanti, it's good to see you. So it's interesting to know when which ones you need to know. I remember there's maths, the psychology, there's a second year thing for that. I remember you use more maths than you do in the exam, if that makes sense. If you've got like project work or something, you may end up using these kind of tests then. So that's what I'm going to cover after next week and the Wednesday after that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do distributions. I've sent you pictures of everything. They work better probably on a tablet than a phone. And the pictures are in the core maths thing. So what we've got here is we need to talk about something called skewness. Okay, so skewness, and it's basically three types of things that could happen here. You could have a positive skew, a negative skew, or you could have no skew at all. It could be symmetrical, right? So something like a normal distribution has no skew, all right? It's bang in the middle. And if you go to your third picture, for some reason the second and the third picture are mixed up, you can see a diagram which shows you what skewed distributions look like. So that's on page 32. It's the third picture I sent you. I don't know why they've sent in the wrong order, but it's the third picture I sent you on Microsoft Teams. You can see there what skewed and normal distributions look like. So normal you're familiar with, yeah? Normal's the bell curve that's perfectly symmetrical. It's got a line smack through the middle. It's got that U-shaped curve sort of thing going on. That's your normal distribution. That hasn't got a skew. There is no skew. The mean and the mode and the median are about the same. In fact, they are the same. So that's your normal, and you're familiar with that because we did that in core maths, right? But there are other types of distributions. You know, there's loads of distributions, to be fair, yeah. But the ones you need to know about are positive and negatively skewed distributions, all right? And positively skewed would mean that it looks like a bit more, basically the hump is before the middle, yeah? So it's asymmetrical. The kind of like the peak is to the left. And then the other one, the negative skew, the peak, oh, that's a really good diagram. And if you want better diagrams of this, as I said, I've sent it's your third picture that I've sent you on the core maths group, yeah? So you can see that, okay? And it's better diagram than that, okay? So next question is which one's which and how can I possibly tell without drawing a picture? And here's the information on that, all right? So I'm just going to rub this out. Remember, what I've written as notes is given in the picture, so you don't need to take masses and masses of notes on this. So, as I said, if you're normal distribution, normal in general, mean equals mode equals median. Yeah? As long as they're more or less the same. Well, if they have to be the same to be normal, but if they're about the same, then there's no skew. All right? Positive skew. Positive skew means, how would you know whether you've got positive skew? If your mean's the biggest, yeah, then your mode, so then your median, sorry, then your mode, all right? And if you want a negative one, it's the same way around. I know the textbooks write this slightly differently, but this is easier to remember. Sorry. So the mean is smaller than the median, is smaller than the mode. Does anyone need a quick reminder? Sorry, how the inequalities work. So basically, for the positive, the mean is the biggest, the median is the middle-sized one, and the mode is the smallest. Sorry, for a negative skew, it's identical. So that's your normal, your positive skew, your negative skew. That's how you can tell. Sorry, I'm frogging myself there. Okay. So that's how, like, if you have to do a calculation, that's how you can tell by looking at your data whether you're normally distributed, whether you've got positive skew, whether you've got negative skew. All right. So what might you be asked to do? You might be asked to draw a graph, as you can see on the second picture. All right. You might be asked to calculate and decide whether something's got a normal or a positive skew or a negative skew. That's something else you might be asked to do. All right. And you might be asked to relate this to your kind of work. All right. In terms of like, okay, great, we've got a normal distribution. What does that mean for me? Okay, so that's the three things. So again, the three criteria are much the same as the other graphs. You need to be able to do it. You need to be able to interpret it. You need to be able to bring it back to the, the question that you had. So if you've got something that's, say, I don't know, normally distributed, you can say that, well, I can do things like 68, 95, and 99.8, and we'll come again. We'll recap that before the end. All right. So normal, positive skew, negative skew. It's all a bit of an information dump for you on this one. It's just like, if this is true, if your mean is smaller than your median, which is, if your median is also smaller than your mode, then you've got a negative skew. So you'd write, they may well ask you, here's some data. Is this data positively skewed or negatively skewed? You can fill that in, get the marks, all right? Okay. The only other thing that I want to give you questions for today is just standard deviation. We've done standard deviation to death, all right? But it's worth remembering that it comes up in psychology as well as core maths, all right? If you look at the very last picture I sent you, the one that's headed standard deviation, you can see a bunch of stuff where basically there's a full worked example there. They use a slightly different formula to the one that I use, and that's fine, okay? If anyone wants any kind of support with that standard deviation, just let me know, drop something in the live chat, okay? But that's it. I'm going to keep it quite short and simple, mainly because there's only 5 people. On Wednesday, we're going to do some of these really hardcore kind of like, statistical tests. Again, I'll explain how they work. So far, we've only done normal distribution and we've done product moment. But psychology uses a lot of things to prove things are connected, correlated, and a lot of things to see whether things are significant. All right? Good to see you there, Lisa. I'm pretty much done on the stuff I'm going to say. So you've come in a little bit late. Feel free to kind of like watch this video once I'm gone. I'm hanging around for about 5 minutes. What I'm going to say to you is this. The first 10 minutes, I started early. I don't think people got that. Also, something wrong with the connection because people popped up at like 10:45. So skip like literally the first 10 minutes of this video because it's mainly me just going, oh, there's nobody here. And that's, it's not the end of the world. I saw people logging in, logging out. I think there was some connection issue as well as people thought it was 10:45 as well. So yeah, just catch that up at the end. And then it's not a huge amount of content. So the work I'm asking you to do is look at the pictures I've sent you. There aren't many questions. There's some practice questions on distributions. There's some practice questions on standard deviation. I'm going to hang around here for a bit and let's see like if people need any help with any of the concepts that I've kind of brought up. I've also got to join somebody's careers interview as well in about 3 minutes, which is why I tried to start it early at 10:30, but I don't think the message got across to people. That's fair shout. So I'm going to hang around here for about 3 minutes, 3-4 minutes. If anyone wants anything, drop something in the chat. If not, have a go at the questions. Come back to me with the issues on Wednesday, and we'll talk them through. So if you've got any particular issues with any of this, please look at the pictures, look at the notes. They're generally quite clear. I know the standard deviation picture is different to the one we normally do. Take care, Naima. Have a lovely rest of the day. Enjoy your Ramadan. Ramadan Mubarak to you. Take care. I will hang around here for another minute or two, I'd say. Good night. Sleep well then, child. Have a good day. Okay, it's got about another minute in queue. If you need anything, just drop something in the chat. If not, we'll pick this all up, I think, on Wednesday. I think there is some issue with logging in and stuff. Maybe some people just won't know. Okay. All right. A few more seconds.